Welcome back, Whisky fans. December the 8th today, and I've got a great little factoid for you today. December the 8th is Harikuyo, which is a festival observed in certain Buddhist and Shinto areas of Japan on December the 8th every year, and it's the festival of broken needles. So every year on December the 8th, the festival of Harikuyo, they get everyone that uses needles in their craft or in their hobbies, gets all the needles that they've broken in the past year, and they take them to temples observing the festival, and they take their broken needles, blunt or bent or whatever, and they press them into blocks of tofu or a thing called konnyaku, which is a gelatinous substance made from potatoes. You think I'm making it up, don't you? I can tell by the look on your face. You all think I'm making it up. But I'm not. Look it up. It's real. Harikuyo. I'll put a link to the Wikipedia page in the description below. I don't pretend to understand all of the intricacies and what it's all about and what people feel when they take part in it, but I really like the idea of it. It's kind of paying respect to the soul that inhabits all things, even inanimate objects, and it seems to me like it's kind of getting people to respect not just each other, but their possessions and their tools and everything. And especially today, and especially as we're coming up to Christmas time, it seems very applicable to me that we should have a little bit more thought about waste and possessions and what we really need, and respecting what we have and kind of reprioritizing what we actually need. But Harikuyo, it's also a time when people reflect on their broken needles and think about their own skills and think about their own abilities, and it's a time of thinking about self-improvement, which is hopefully something that we all think about from time to time, including whiskey distillers, perhaps. So dram number 8. I know you still think I'm making this up. None of you believe me, but it's real. Dram number 8. It's real, I promise. Nah, made it all up. No, it is real. Break the seal, label away. Let's get some in the glass. And under the hat of obfuscation. Kampai. So first things first, colour. They're all kind of a similar colour, aren't they? But I think that one's a little bit darker. Tiny bit darker than even the Woodsman, probably. Is that natural? It doesn't really look natural. A lot of the others have, but I'd say that looks like it's got a little bit of fake tan in it. And it's less clear than some of the others. It's not as clear as probably the majority of them. It's got a little bit of haze to it, which is good. So how does it smell? Sweet and fruity. And I don't want to be too mean to the Lindores Abbey, because they're a new distillery. They've not been around for very long, and that whiskey is probably 3 years and a day old, so we can't crap on them too much. But the fruitiness in this one is much more to my liking, because it's got some more confectionery notes and sort of sugary, confectionery, red fruits notes, but without the spiciness. A little bit creamier, strawberries and cream. Vanilla, slightly honeyed. Has got a little bit of a graininess to it though. So I'm wondering if this might be a blend again. By the way, I didn't mention, or I don't think I mentioned in the video yesterday about the Lindores. I was going on and on about getting those STR casks, and I think that Lindores is matured in STR casks and red wine barriques, if I remember correctly. So pleased that I picked that one up. But no such messing around gone in with this one, as far as I can tell. It's quite a full nose, lots of flavour, good intensity. Fruity, jellied, artificial fruit, sweets. Quite bright, but with a graininess. So possibly some sort of blended whiskey, blended Scotch that's got some sweet sherry in there. Or maybe like a dessert wine maturation for part of it. Doesn't seem like it's entirely wine matured, but it seems like there might be some wine casks involved. Let's see how it tastes. That is a bit of a disappointment from the nose. Lovely, bright, juicy, sweet flavours on the nose. Fruit, sweets, honeyed, but then you taste it. Thin, bitter, a bit chalky. I think it's pretty safe to say that this is going to be probably a 42% product, which is a shame because it smells so nice. And I assume that if this was bottled at a higher strength, it would probably taste similar to how it smells. It does make me wonder sometimes, like you're looking at your 40% whiskies, and it makes me wonder why anyone bothers to buy them, and it makes me wonder why people bother to get into whiskey if all they're ever exposed to is 40% stuff that's just so lackluster on the palate. Because it's probably reasonably fair to assume that people getting into whiskey, they're drinking it and they're tasting the flavours more than they're nosing it. That's probably a fair assumption. But something like this, that smells fantastic, a bit blendy, perhaps a bit of a cereally grain component in there, but I think probably a high malt content, with what smells to me like a dessert wine finish on some of the single malt components. But then you taste it. It's just not there. We're getting some duds now, aren't we? It's not an entire dud, but the palate on that one's disappointing. So what have we had recently? I'm keeping the empty bottles down here just out of sight. So we started off with Glendronach, which is fine, Black Bottle, which is good, Mackmyra, which was the best Mackmyra I've ever had, Spice King, fantastic, Singleton, good, Woodsman, okay, Lindores, okay, this one, okay. So we're seeing a little bit of a... I think we might have seen this before, actually. I do wonder if they plan these calendars with the less spectacular ones kind of in the middle. Oh, smell that. Fantastic. It's just a bit thin and bitter on the palate. Low strength. I would almost bet money that this is no more than... It's not even 43. Even if this is 42, I'll be surprised. I think this is a 40% blend. Probably quite an expensive one, but not a great one. Irish. So this is our first Irish whiskey, and sadly, yes, it is a 40% whiskey. It's the Irishman. I can't read that. What does that say? Handcrafted whiskey. Okay, the Irishman Founders Reserve Irish Whiskey 40%. You can't focus on that, but you don't care because I've just read it. It's disappointing that Irish whiskey these days is almost, this is just my opinion, but I think that Irish whiskey, the vast majority of it, is underpowered cheap stuff or overpriced mediocre stuff. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that the kind of Irish whiskies I recommend, and I've tried quite a few. I'm not as well versed in Irish whiskey as I am in Scotch or probably even English whiskey, but the kind of stuff that I'd recommend that if you're looking to get into Irish whiskey is stuff like Bushmills Standard White Label and the Bushmills 10-year-old Writer's Tears, perhaps, because they're economical bottlings, but they offer a decent amount of quality. And as soon as you go up to beyond that, this is just my opinion, but I think that you get into diminishing returns quite quickly with Irish whiskey. And I don't know how much this sells for. Let's just do a little bit of research. Okay, so Master of Malt, £34. I mean, what can you get for £34? You're looking at 12-year-old 46% Scotch single malt at that price, aren't you? And I think this is a blend. It's a blended Irish whiskey, and I was going to say it's a decent one, but I think I'd even prefer the standard Bushmills White Label to this. It's not amazing. It smells really promising. It's so sad that at 43% it would have probably kept up at least enough on the palate to make it justified. Thin, bitter, very bitter, weak. Let's get something better tomorrow, shall we? I'm going to head off now and stick this one in a block of potato jelly. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.